Understanding God as our Father, knowing His heart, is vitally important. In order to understand what He's doing in his actions, His tactics, has everything to do with His purpose. And that cannot be understood without knowing Him as the Father that He is. When John tells us in 1 John that God is love, he is describing the very nature and essence of who God is. The Apostle Paul describes what love is in 1 Corinthians 13, and it's so vastly different than what we as people experience and what so often we hear as love and what it is, I love you, and what that means. God is so for you, not against you. He has in mind for you the best. He wants you to live up to your created purpose and destiny, to the full value of what He determined and what He envisioned at the beginning. Remember, you were created in Christ Jesus for good works. Now, you don't make that happen. In that context in Ephesians, and we covered this just a couple weeks ago, that God actually did everything necessary, coming in the flesh and making the way, and restoring us back to original value, back to our place that we delusionally have walked away from, that we didn't realize that we do not and cannot have life apart from Him. So in this context, as a father who loves his children, and if you are created by God, and you are one of His children, and He wants and is in the process of bringing us to the fullness of what He created us to be. We already have it in us. We already have connection with Him. It's the delusion, it's the incorrect belief that we don't that hinders us. So I wanted to talk briefly about covenant and contract. When we look in the Old Testament and we look at what is called the Old Covenant, we see a contract that God made with the people of Israel. Now, if we were to trace this all the way back, we would see that God came to them at Mount Sinai and He said, I want to be your God and I want you to be my people. He spoke to them audibly, personally to them. And what did they do? In their fear, they said, God is a scary guy. We don't want to hear His voice. Moses, you talk to Him and tell us what He says and let it be mediated through you. And that's what they got, is a mediated relationship with God. That's why, as we read in Hosea 2:16, God said, in that day, looking to the future, you won't call me Baali, my master, but you will call me Ishi, my husband. It's a personal, intimate relationship versus what Israel had, which was a servant-master relationship. They had a contract, and the contract said, you do these things, and I will do these things. And my doing, in essence, what God told them, is contingent upon what you do. Now, Paul, the Apostle Paul, addresses this, and we're going to look at this in Galatians 3 and verse 15. He says, brothers, I speak in the manner of men. So I'm speaking just even in the terms of what people do. He says, though it's only a man's covenant, it's something in this realm, in our legal system, that we have a contract, an agreement. Yet if it's confirmed, it's signed, it's finished, no one annuls or adds to it. You can't change it. Think about this. If you have a mortgage with the bank, there is an agreement, a contract you have with the bank. The bank says, I will provide you this payment for this money for this house, and you will do this in return, which is make payments and pay the interest. Once you sign that and you want to change it, you can't. It is set. The bank can't change it and say, no, we're going to make this different. We're going to do it this way. You can't say, bank, I'm going to do this differently. It's a contract. You can't change it. And that's what Paul is making a point here. The contract that Israel had with God, that we call the Old Covenant, couldn't be changed You couldn't just change parts of it and make it something different. Now, sometimes people approach it like, I'm still under this. We still have to do these things that were the stipulations of that contract. But they'll change certain ones. You can't change part of it. It's either all or nothing. And this is also compared to like a last will and testament. It's like a marriage contract that God had, this master-servant relationship. And when the one dies, the other is freed. Paul talks about that in Romans. What we have is not that contractual relationship with God. He comes as a father and says, I love you no matter what. And to prove it, I'm giving everything for you and coming into your delusion and your darkness to deliver and rescue you. The covenant you have is not the contract Israel had. It's something very different, based upon a father loving his children, and that is not a contractual relationship.